So, a couple of days on, how do you look back on Saturday now?
I think Gary Rowett called it. I think I called it after the game. I thought it was a tight game. There was a question asked before regarding how we're going to go away from home between now and the end of the season. Terrible disappointing night at Bramall Lane for a lot of us, supporters included. What the reaction was going to be, I thought it was a good reaction against a team banging form. Always a tough place to go, I would say. If you ask anybody in the division, I think Millwall's always in the top 3, top 5 toughest places to go to get a result, especially when it was a full house, especially when they've got a bounce of momentum in their step, and they certainly did that. I thought evenly matched game. I thought we had the better of the second half, and maybe with a little bit more quality, a little bit more quicker play, maybe some better decisions around the final third, we'd have asked them more questions than we did, and maybe got a winner. But I think any result could have happened, and maybe the fairest one did.
You touched on it there, but given what had gone before, how important was the clean sheet?
Incredibly important. We talked about it before the game. Let's not make mistakes to give opposition goals, and we have done. We've been guilty of that in the past. It's not been a structural situation that the team's been all over the place. If you look, the first 2 goals at Sheffield United, he gets down on a long throw at 2 versus 1 and manages to get a cross in, and the second goal obviously is a mistake. So individual mistakes are usually the opportunity, and give the opportunity to score, and we needed to cut those out, and certainly we didn't make any individual mistakes on Saturday, and that allowed us to get a foothold in the game and allowed us to get what I think minimum we deserve from the game.
Another tight turnaround, of course everyone's used to that, but physically, what's it looking like?
We've just been talking about it. I think every coaching staff and manager are saying the same things at this present time. It's a tired league. A lot of boys are feeling it. A lot of the teams are feeling it. So no excuses. It's a state of mind. It's a mentality. We've got to get through. We've got to get through another game before the international break. Obviously, we've got Saturday coming up, which should take care of itself. I'm sure that the players will find some energy from somewhere to get through that game. But it's certainly got to find that on Tuesday night, and that's, as I said, I think every manager and coach will be having the same conversation. Inwardly that they're coming to that part of the season. Let's get through to the international break. Let's get a positive result. I think we get a positive result. We put ourselves in a fantastic position. We'd have took that all day long. When I walked through the door, quarter-final of the FA Cup, in and amongst the top 6, with 9 games to go, and then it's game on now, but it certainly is game on after the international break, and then it becomes a character and mentality. I think everybody knows that we can play. You don't get the results that we've had without having some really good players. Tactically, I don't think anybody's really undone us tactically that really dominated us. Even in the Sheffield United game, I don't think it was a tactical game. It was a game based on other different characteristics that we didn't produce on the night. So I think tactically we're okay, and we're in a good place. The players have grasped the system that we play, and I think what it will come down to after the international break is a physicality and a mentality, sort of attitude to really dig deep and go again. But we've got a game before that, and we have to get through it just as much as Birmingham City are going to have to get through it.
Speaking of Birmingham City, obviously they're in a certain area where they're probably not going up, they're probably not going down. What have you made of them this season?
Well, yeah, they're very competitive under Lee. It's not the easiest place in the world to manage in the Championship at times. He'll have his sort of issues like everybody sort of has, all sort of different issues. But you look at the group. They've got some good players. They've got some experienced Championship players. They've got a couple of really good loan signings in there. Some young good players coming through as well. And you've got a manager who's had a top career and will want to mirror that top career from a playing point of view as a manager. He obviously got off to a fantastic, fabulous start at Charlton and got his move to Birmingham City, and he'd like to replicate that. But I should imagine. From usually the characteristics of a player will shine through on your team. So they'll be competitive, they'll be physical, they'll want to head tackle and win races, and we've got to certainly match that and be up for the fight.
Do you feel it's now hit the point in the season where kind of the clock's ticking and where everything matters that bit more, and every fixture and every other result starts to matter a bit more when you're in the race like you are?
I think you sort of, it's a little bit of a spar up till Christmas, and then it's sort of game on after the new year, and the race is really on. And really, you want to position yourself, especially where we were when we took over. You want to position yourself to be involved, and we are involved, and a lot of clubs like Birmingham City would love to be involved and be in our position. So we're not taking it for granted. It's not time to down tools. It's time to really pick up and go for it. We're attack-based mind. We're an attack-minded team. Our mentality is to go for wins. We're not a counter-attacking team. We're not a team that sits in. We might get pushed back at times, but we're a positive team, and hopefully for the last 10 games of the season we can show that positivity that we've certainly shown for the previous 18.
Finally from me, obviously you have got this huge attractive Chelsea game at the end of the week, but neither you nor the players have the luxury of thinking about that yet, have you really?
I've certainly did. I did yesterday because I went down and watched them and enjoyed a little bit of Premier League hospitality watching the game. I'm sure them cameras weren't on me, might have been on some other people. But it was good to watch. We took in the game yesterday afternoon, and it was an opportunity to watch. But certainly from the players' point of view, focus from Saturday. Players were in Sunday for recovery, trained today, and listen. Of course, I can't control what's getting talked in a change room. I don't really want to get involved in what gets talked in the change room. I'm far too old for that. But certainly in team meetings, and when we're talking about it, it's full focus on Tuesday. And can we have another good week? It started off in decent fashion in terms of getting a result at Millwall. I talked about how difficult that was. If we can get a result on Tuesday night, and then obviously it sets us up, and then we've got a bit of a break for hopefully an exciting and rewarding last 9 games of the season.
Great, thanks, good luck.
Thank you, cheers.
Chris, just coming off the back of the weekend, obviously 3 lads missed out there for illness. Is there a couple of days on any update on whether they're back?
Yeah, I'm not going to show my hand now, Craig, as nobody seems to show their hand to me. We're always second guessing each other, and I think we'll second guess Birmingham because they've changed shape so many times. So, it's up to us as well. When we get the team to try and think how they're going to play. We've got an idea how they play just as much as they've got an idea how we play. But they've been very, very flexible in terms of their formations. From our point of view, we're hopeful that there'll be additions to the squad, but if not, then we'll go again.
Yeah, one player who has come in the last 2 with being out at Lee Peltier, very good on Saturday. How is he in terms of his overall impact at the club? I know when he first came in, there was a lot said about his leadership off the pitch as well. Have you felt that? Yeah,
I'd like there to be more of that in the team. I think at times my one criticism is they're a little bit quiet amongst themselves. So I suppose, is this the modern day footballer, or is this the younger footballer that maybe these parts of the game they're not as strong in as maybe other parts of the game? There's more focus being put onto that, which we're trying to adjust into our academy, because it's really important that you produce good footballers, but you produce players of character and personality as well. Certainly Pelt's has got character, personality, and a lot of bottle. Is another word that I don't know if I use or not, that's got double L in it as well. But he certainly shows that in abundance, and to come in for his first game since Mansfield, and playing the way he did and compete and organise, and I really enjoyed his performance as much as I enjoyed generally the team's performance.
Yeah, and you've kind of mentioned him as well, haven't you, in terms of when you've been asked about Josh Coburn and maybe going out and run things like that, and young players, learning those characteristics that you see you'd like.
Yeah, I as I said, I look through the group, and I think that the likes of Fry, Tavernier, Jones, Dyche, Steele, the younger boys, even the boys on loan, can learn from the likes of Sol and Peltz. And I think it's a dying art, really, and it's a bit of a shame, really, because there's certainly a place in a team for a character and a personality in my teams as well, and give it and take it attitude, to keep everybody on toes and keep driving the standards.
Yeah, and obviously, avoided back-to-back defeats again at the weekend, and that's something that's never happened. And I'm sure that you'd like to avoid defeat all the time, but sometimes they're going to happen. The fact it's never happened consecutively must be encouraging.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning, but I don't want a reaction. I just want us to be consistent. I don't really want to go through Tuesday night again to have the next 3 days as it was. It's up to us to feel that sort of anxiety all the time. I think that if we'd have set the tone in terms of what we did on Saturday at Bristol City and Barnsley, would have got a result without a shadow of a doubt. The tone is set in the change room as well for them, as you can imagine, through experience. But they're the ones that have to carry it out, and certainly, it was good. Enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the team on Saturday. As I said, wasn't the most free flowing of performances, and with the ball, will be better. Maybe the anxiety over the last 2 or 3 days that we've put into the players maybe affected them with the ball. So they need to get over that and get that balance right as well, because we've got to play as well, because we can't just get involved in just putting his foot through it, because we've got good players and we've got to be brave in possession as well as out of possession. But there's a lot of good things that happened on Tuesday, and as I said, I don't really want to get in that situation to get out of that situation, so hopefully we won't have to do that too many times between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, and just when we talk about the build-up of the game, the schedule, etc., how important is somebody like Matt Prestridge, who you brought with you to the club? He heads up the sports science. How important is he in this?
Everybody, we're making decisions all the time. It's really I'm an inclusive manager. People have got, they're brought to the football club because they're specialists in their department, and Matt's got the link between, from a football point of view, because of his experience and where he's been and worked at academy, and from a scientific point of view, and from his work, going through university at Loughborough and his sports science background. So, I think that's really important that not just these sports scientists that haven't got a clue about football and demands of football, that they've got a foot in both camps. And we've got that with Frankie, with the physio, with the doctors, in daily staff meetings, looking at the players, seeing what they're like from the conditioning point of view, and right the way through. So there's a lot of talk and chatter, as I keep saying, away from the lights, in terms of making good decisions for the benefit of the players.
Yeah, Matt's someone who's worked with you for quite a number of years now, hasn't he? I think a couple of clubs before this one. How did you first kind of come to work with Matt, and how was that relationship developed?
Yeah, he applied. There was an opening at Northampton, and he applied for the job. So had good references, a good CV, a strong CV, and his personality fits in with what I demand as well. And he's played a real key part in terms of the success at Northampton and leading through into my previous club, and hopefully he'll he's an important member, really important member of the staff, and they all are. I take, this is a real tight group of staff, and I don't always have to bring in loads and loads. It's, various managers bring in sort of 4, 5 and 6. I inherited some good people, and it was just trying to maximise their abilities and bring them to the party and join, them be inclusive in all the decisions. I've obviously got to make the big ones, but certainly I think if you talk to them, I think they're enjoying working and feel wanted and feel they've got a worth to the football club, because they certainly have from my point of view.
Yeah, and just a final one from me, Chris. Had a few people ask about Grant Hall in recent weeks. I know he was injured when you first come to the club, wasn't he? And I think, if I'm right in saying, he played for the under-23s a couple of weeks ago. Is he kind of still working his way back?
Yeah, no, he's involved. He's involved tomorrow. He's had a couple of little issues, but he's back involved now, so he's part of the group. I think it's been quite difficult because of the former Dale Fry, and we don't really need two centre halves on the bench. So Sol's been on the bench, and you try and cover in bases. Lee Peltier's got an important part to play. There's a couple that can move and are flexible. We always try and get 3 forwards on the bench as well. So 4 with a goalkeeper, 5 with a midfield player. Makes it difficult too. But Grant's been working away, and he's got an important part to play. I think they all know, Craig. They all know that they have to be ready when called upon, like Peltz was on Saturday, and come in, and it's quite difficult for them because they've got to hit the ground running, and there's no hiding place out there. And I think that goes down to the amount of work that they put in, that they are ready, like Peltz is, to put a full and proper performance in.
Cheers. You talked about the hostility of the Den at the weekend. What about St Andrews then? What are your past experiences of that going into?
I got sent off there personally, so and that, regarding that on Saturday, I mean, somebody I didn't see anything over the weekend, and somebody said about me too far. He was just too quick for me, basically. He was just far too quick for me, and I was all in. So apologies to Jim. I hope he didn't take it the wrong way, but just sort of an experience of mine there at that time. But no, yeah, it's another. Listen, it's another grounded football club. As they'll possibly have their rivalry with Villa, and people talk about what type of people support Birmingham, what type of people support Villa. So I think it's a working man's football club, down to earth, getting their hands dirty, and they'll want to see that in their team's performance. Again, a club that when you look through the Championship and you talk about teams that have played in the Premier League, another one that played in the Premier League and won a major trophy. So got great history. Went through a period where they really did financially have a right good go of trying to get back in the Premier League, and maybe paying a little bit of a price for that recently. But another proud football club that's got a lot of good players, and they've got a committed manager, an ambitious manager who want to do well.
And you're going into that game probably as favourites, but like we've seen against Bristol City in recent weeks and Barnsley, never always going to be the case.
I think all that people, the odds, the bookies will have their ideas on it, but all that stuff goes out the window if you're not right, if you don't set the tone, you're not aggressive, as we've seen. But if you are, and this group of players will give themselves a right good opportunity of getting a result. If they say, I can't put that into them, that's got to come from within. And they've shown that they can do it in terms of what some performances stroke results. But as I said, they've got to get a couple of things right. We've got to not make any errors to give the opposition goals or opportunities. And we've got to be good when we have that opportunity, dominating the ball and creating chances, which we can do and have done away from home. But yeah, again, we'll most probably talk about the bit in between being quite tight. We'll try and dominate that if we can. We'll most probably talk at the end of the game about what happened in both penalty areas, and we got one right on Saturday, and if we can get both right, we're in with a sniff of a result.
Just touching on what you were saying before about it being a tired league, the international break's probably going to come at an opportune time with an important run-in. But for the likes of Paddy McNair, he's been called up to the Northern Ireland squad. Is there a case to keep a watchful eye over him over the next?
We'll do that. We'll be fingers crossed with them all. Everybody that goes away, we always have done. I've always been the same. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think Paddy's a proud Irishman, so he'll want to go away and play. Understand that. I don't think he's missed out many games over the last sort of 3, 4, 5 years. He's racking up the caps, so he's gaining good experience as well. So it's a two-way thing as well, playing international football, playing against different types of players, different systems in different environments is really good for his experience. But as always, you'd like it to be one game. You'd like him to come back healthy. He has played a lot of football, as you all do, but this is part and parcel of being an international player, and Paddy's handled it extremely well, and but hopefully he'll come back to us in good health and be ready for the last 9 games.
And just touching on what you were saying about being at the Chelsea game at the weekend, obviously really nice to be there in the hospital environment and everything, but what I mean by that is like going to watch Premier League teams again. That's the sort of that's the sort of thing you want to be doing every week. And
it sort of evoked some really good memories, and where we want to be. You know, just the old build up. It's a special division. That's why everybody's trying their nuts off to get into it. You know, everybody, whether it's financially, whether it's working away, that everybody's desperate to get into it, and we're the same, and we understand that, and it's a challenge, but there's certainly no other place for me in European world football than being, of course I've not had experience of other divisions, but I think that's the reason it's so attractive to everybody. The majority of the world's best players come here, and managers do, and love it and excited about it and want to be part of it, and we're no different to as I said, I think they'll have relative expectations, some clubs in this division, that it's going to be an incredibly difficult task to get into the Premier League, but I've got to say there's so many clubs that have been and will want to get back into the Premier League in this division, and that's why it's so competitive.
Is this a really big challenging part of the season then, with the 4 away games as they've fallen together?
I think this part of the season is challenging. However the games fall, Rob, it's always a test. You're coming into the last quarter of the season, and there's some huge challenges there. As I said, from pressure situations, from physical situations, from a mentality point of view. However the fixture list is, it isn't ideal, but you have to deal with it and get on with it. And I'm certainly not one for looking for excuses. This is an opportunity for us to hopefully get a big result. We're after a big result. We know where that takes us. Season's not done and dusted if we don't get a result, but we're desperate for one to get in there. And I think the table will look a lot healthier with that. And then into the Chelsea game and the break, and then all systems go for the final push.
You obviously having to ask a lot of your midfield three who've been key right the way through the season, and does it concern you at all about, you said we were very, very strong at the back, but there was maybe a shortage of creativity, would you say, at Millwall?
No, because it was a tough game, and I think our expected goals and creativity, I thought the final bit, possession-wise, passes-wise, I think the final bit we were too slow with, and took too much time, and maybe didn't pick the right option, which can happen. But creativity in terms of the results that we've had, the opportunities that we've created. I didn't think there was a lack of creativity against Tottenham, and they're a Premier League team. So, of course, I think that's one of the areas where you look at, and they've really put a shift in, and you would love the opportunity of calling upon a Martin Piero, a Riley McGree. You would have loved that opportunity of calling upon them to freshen it up now and again, and other teams have had that opportunity, but we certainly haven't had that. So it's going again. I don't really see anything underneath it that we're not playing that really should be playing at the moment. I don't really want to change system. I don't really want to move Paddy out of a back three that's done particularly well for the majority of times that I've been here into midfield. So it's not a change of shape, it's not a change of personnel. They've just got to get through it. And as I say, it's not always the easiest place to go. And we were disappointed, as I said afterwards, with maybe the final bit that decides tight games, and but hopefully we can find that final bit that's unlocked some good defences this season and give us the results that we've got.
Does it help us? It must help the fact that we've been taking such massive crowds to all these games, taking obviously at the Riverside or on the road really. Again.
Saturday was great. I think the supporters, understand as well. It's not an easy place to get a result. So I thought they understood the efforts of the players. It wasn't a good night for us Tuesday, but I thought it was a good effort on Saturday, and another big away following hopefully yet again, and we can reward them with a decent performance, result.
And finally. My message board, we sponsored Joe Lumley and the last couple of games he's been an absolute tower of strength at the back.
We're delighted. You know, I'm a positive manager. I want our support to be positive. I want it to recognise, yeah, it is critical, as I am as a manager, internally, and standards we want them to be. And, you know, of course, there's been a lot of talk about Joe, but I think he's answered it in the right way. And goalkeepers have got to make saves in this league. There's plenty enough goalkeepers that make big saves against us. I think if you look at them right the way through, you know, in the early days, the Preston goalkeeper, right the way through, it's been some fabulous, you know, goalkeeping performances against us. Bristol City, Barnsley, right the way through, that's kept their team and made important saves. And Joe has made a couple of big saves over the last 2 weeks. So hopefully, when called upon, he'll do that, and that will give us, as I said, a better opportunity of getting a result.